Splattercolor screen. You're quite the enigma amongst the community. A good idea on paper, horribly ruined by huge flaws. I can see what the devs wanted out of you. A smokescreen. And yet, their execution of you tarnished you beyond repair. I'll be honest, I think most would love to leave you behind for the next game. But not me. I see goodness in you. I want to bring out the best you can offer along for the next game, which is what I'm here for today. I will be reworking the Splattercolor screen to be an actual cool and unique special and not the depressing thing it is now. Now Splattercolor screen has a ton of issues I need to cover, so I'll be splitting the video into segments discussing them, starting with its most prominent ones and dealing with the less egregious ones later. With that out of the way, let's begin. Splattercolor screen's biggest waning issue is its excessive disruptions with those that have audio and visual sensitivity issues. Because of this massive problem, it is prominently banned within areas of competitive play, and it is really disappointing to see a new weapon kit only for it to have screen. So when addressing this, we just need to change what audio and visual effects occur when you come into contact with the screen. The devs already adjusted the brightness effect by making things darker, which is a good change, but from what I've heard, some are still affected, just not as bad as before. A common idea is to just change the visuals to grayscale, which was the original intent, but they didn't properly do it. Moving on to the audio issue, we'll remove the sizzling sound it creates and replace it by having it just muffle the game audio. The sentence you're hearing is an example of what I mean by muffling. With these changes, the special can no longer hurt other players and can be allowed in all fields without issue. That's not all with accessibility problems, as the screen itself blocks everyone's view of the stage. I know, it's a smoke screen, neither team should realistically be able to see through it, but the point of a special weapon is to give you an advantage and rarely hold you back. So a giant bubble wall that the enemy team and only the enemy team has to guess what's behind would be a good advantage. Being unable to see through the screen makes it harder to take advantage of for both you and your team, as the only time you can see through the screen is when you're super close next to the enemy, which only two of the screen weapons want to do. So to address this, just make it see-through for you and your team. Easy fix. So now that screen can be used in play, let's see what it can do. Wait, that's it? That's kinda disappointing for a special weapon compared to the rest. Most specials have some sort of secondary or tertiary function, like Booyah Bomb giving you armor and a big ball of ink that can act like smokescreen and eating sub-weapons, or Ultra Stamp destroying objects super easily and eating sub-weapons with the addition of being thrown. So screen only having one feature, and that it's a giant wall, is again greatly disappointing. The damage just feels tacked on as well. So let's fix that by adding more unique abilities to Splattercolor screen. Now I don't want to give it some sort of negative effect towards players like dampening speed or increased ink consumption, as we've seen that with tactical or players like to move fast. So what can we add onto the screen then? Well, I have an idea that gives it a distinct identity and fixes a problem it struggles with. The game right now kinda has this problem the devs themselves don't like, in that players tend to stay back and press the R button repeatedly, throwing sub-weapons. Screen can be easily countered by throwing point sensors and other subs, as they can pass right through the screen without any issue. So my solution is to make screen eat sub-weapons, and only subs, if you want a special that eats everything that already exists. With this, you can no longer just die to a random bomb if you're sharking next to the screen, and with how long Splattercolor screen lasts, you can deny an entire area free of sub-weapons. Another ability I want to add to screen is more small but feels like it should have been there from the start, is that it rises upward or downward when traversing a slope, similar to Wavebreaker. As right now Splattercolor screen goes in a straight line and phases through higher ground, which just feels wrong in my opinion. With these new additions, screen now has its own identity of a cool support special that disrupts enemy sight line and removes sub-weapons from an entire area for a few seconds. Pretty cool, huh? Now that screen stands as a special, we gotta make sure it's balanced and not too overbearing to ruin the game. Luckily with these changes I can see it being around a B or C ranked special, which is much better than it originally was. There are some small adjustments I want to make to how ink is turfed on the ground with Splattercolor screen first. More specifically, when you throw it, I kinda want it to do the same thing Torpedo does when you throw one, in that it paints your feet. Screen doesn't do that. I think it should. Following up on buffs, I wanna increase the little gray bubbles that show up on a hit target of screen, as they're a little too small. If I were to compare it to something that it should be like, it would be the tactical arrows when you are affected by the drink. Something else that needs to be changed is the special cooldown timer, which currently screen operates on the same system of cooldown as super jumps and tandem missiles, where you have to wait around 10 seconds before charging the next one. However, screen's timer is slightly faster, around 8 seconds. I want to change this to 10 seconds, so that a match is not clustered with Splattercolor screens everywhere. Another nerf I want to add is to reduce the ink splatters it makes as it moves forward. I don't want the screen to paint the map when other specials do that, and make it have a more noticeable weakness of hearing the enemy on the other side of the special if they have to paint to move forward. And with that, that's all I want to change with screen's balance. I don't want to change how much damage it deals, as 30 is fine as a good combo number. The white ink it creates when it spawns can also be ignored, as that doesn't cause any problems. Special power-up also doesn't need to be changed, as with the new functions of the reworked screen, moving faster to get more bombs away is quite nice. A final note is screen's width and height. Even though it's the widest special in the game currently, making it any bigger wouldn't work on some stages, and its height is already perfect, as having the option to throw sub-weapons above it is at least fair. Now that we've wrapped up reworking screen, I kinda wanna go into a small tangent about new kits we can give screen to. When you've been stuck with no second kit for over 600 days, it kinda highlights the terrible kit distribution system, so I just gotta do this for funsies. Out of the 4 weapons without second kits, I can see Hybrid and Bamboozler getting the most mileage out of it than the other 2. With Hydra, it's a first for screen being on a backline and on one that uses it more defensively, as you are no longer forced to move if someone presses the R button. Plus, the scenario of a loud revving Hydra you can't see is just chef's kiss. With Bamboozler, it's a nice combo number, but throwing it also paints your feet quickly, which is something it would appreciate. And with that, I hope you had fun watching. I'll see you in the near future, possibly talking about more reworks perhaps.